Perch is here to break it down. Every tale and every crown. Comics by Perch, it's your guide. Dive in deep, don't run and hide.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. There's a drama going on a little bit right now. It just shows how people's think or don't think in some cases. Anyway, the director of a movie called Terrifier, and it's a movie about what seemingly an angry clown that murders people. Like it it's you're like, which one? No, this isn't the Stephen King one or the remake Stephen King one. Anyway, this is Terrifier. It's an angry clown. Clown runs around, murders people. The clown, first of all, I've never seen this movie or anything around it. I've looked at the plot, spoilers, so I have no idea. So I don't know if this clown is a demon or a crazy psycho killer or somewhere in between, or who knows. But anyway, I don't even know if it's fully a clown or it's a serial killer dressed in a clown costume for some time. Whatever. At any rate, the director goes out and says something that in theory is smart in 2025. Says this movie is, they're asked kind of, who's this movie for? And the director's like, this movie's for everyone. There's no, it doesn't matter. I want, whatever your politics are, you can enjoy this movie. It's not political. I'm paraphrasing out of the exact quote, but basically says, I want everybody to come to that movie. Right, left, somewhere in the questions, the person must have been like, so is this a commentary on the Trump era? Like, there must have been something that led to this. I doubt the director just popped this out in the blue. But anyway, the director's like, yeah, it's a scary movie with clowns. Like that, it's not actually political. It's not political. So, what could go wrong with that statement? Well, apparently the director is wrong because all movies, especially all horror movies, are political. All art is political. Everything is political, says, people with college degrees. I don't want to, it's unfair. I don't like the current trend of picking on people who go to college because in theory, for many years, the joke for college was, college is important. Like nobody's really, bashing on people who are going to college, getting a degree to be a surgeon, or somebody who's getting a finance degree so they could do accounting. I mean, accounting is a boring job, but you're not really making fun of that. The degrees you made fun of was the English degree and the philosophy degree as being the things that were useless in life. And you'd say, oh, those people just go to argue and stare at their own navels and everything. And now that's kind of how we describe college in general for lots of people, or at least, some people describe it that way. But college still has a huge purpose. But one thing that is true is there's this desire in college. And I remember when I went to college, and you have classes that you have to take. You have your core, and I remember an English class, and the professor was basically there saying, everything has deeper meaning, and everything is. I think probably even said the words, everything is political, everything is social commentary, and it handpicked a few books, stuff from Homer, stuff from James Joyce. Well, yeah, of course, James Joyce is going to have social and political commentary because that's where that's how the book was written. But at the same time, I'm reading, The Shining, and I'm like, I'm not seeing the political and social commentary here. I remember getting an argument with the teacher over this. The teacher's like, no, it is a commentary. It's a commentary on capitalism and how, the push to excel at your job and to dehumanize people is inherently against the human condition and anti-human, and because capitalism is a Republican right-wing trait, because of all the damage that Ronald Reagan and Bush have done, then The Shining is a commentary on how it ruins families, even though they're ironically the party of family values. And he just kind of goes on and on and on. And I'm like, I think it's a movie about a guy. I mean, I think it's about a book about a guy who kind of goes to a remote place and loses his mind, and there's ghosts. The ghosts like screw with him. He's by himself. I mean, if we're gonna get a deeper meaning off this, we could say it's a story about isolation and what it does to the mind, and especially with people under severe stress, and then ghosts. I don't think it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. And so I remember having this debate with the teacher, and to the teacher's credit, by the way, the teacher was willing to listen to my point of view and didn't fail me or anything for arguing. But I remember saying, like, I think some of these things, is it that the writer is bringing the politics into the situation, or is it the reader is bringing the politics into the situation? Because when we consume comics, books, movies, art, anything, we try and put ourselves into that thing. We try and, and the better the book, the better the comic, the better the whatever movie, whatever it happens to be, is one that is has many facets to it, that it can actually adapt to many different ways of interpreting it. If you studied art, if 5 people look at a painting, 5 people get different takes on that painting, because the painting is malleable enough, it's evocative enough that it allows you to see what you want to see in it. And that's one of the beauties of art or books or, any piece of, media. And, that was my perspective, and it still is. It very much is. And as it relates to this movie, like Terrifiers, and again, I haven't seen it, so who knows? I may be talking completely out of my ass. You go into that, you sit down, you watch the movie, and like immediately we were introduced to Trump, and the evil clown is actually J.D. Vance. I don't know what, or maybe it's Elizabeth Warren. I don't know what the guy's politics are. Maybe, but I don't think so. What I do think is that that we have kind of warped our minds to kind of believe that every piece of media, everything out there, is spoon feeding an idea to us, and we're no longer capable or tolerant of accepting that different people see different things in art. And once upon a time, that was a beautiful thing. And frankly, it still is. I have to believe that there's still a mass of people out there whose brains haven't been rotten by the internet or by 2025 college politics or whatever it happens to be, where you could still go in, you could read a book, like you could read something like Watchmen, and you can have a take. Now, comic book fans, like movie fans, like every type of fan, tend to be highly opinionated and also tend to not tolerate any point of view that's different from their own. I don't think the politics, and I'm using air quotes there, of Watchmen are all that deep. I've had, there was a guy who went absolutely psycho nuts on me on this channel to a point that it was a rare case I had to boot the guy from the comments, but he would proceed to send me mail for close to a year talking about, coming right up to the line of maybe I need to come in there and drill a hole in your head like that. Like we had wandered into threat territory. And that's over the fact that he believed that Watchmen was the height of political thought and commentary. I don't. I think one place where people get really confused on this, and you see it heavily in comics, is there's a major difference between social commentary and politics. And it's tempting to say, oh, those are the same thing, but they're really not. Social commentary can be very, I don't want to say cheap, but basically very lax. Very simple. You could say look, I'm, here's look at a comic like The Preacher, okay, by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Is it political? Well, yeah. I mean, it has politics right there on the page. It also has some very basic archetypes for social commentary. You've got the overly zealous religious person. You have the con man trying to be good. You have several personality types that are archetypes. Using archetypes in your book does not make it political. It just means you're using common themes because that's often easier for the reader to attach onto. And I also think that if you this dates back in comics to stuff like Jack Kirby drawing Captain America punching a Nazi. Now you can say, hey, that's political. But is it? I mean, it is if you say everything that, utilizes or visualizes any kind of government or historical. I mean, but once you get down that path, you're not making a political statement. I mean, I guess you are. You're saying Captain America punches Nazis, but he's also in World War II, and they had you had Mickey Mouse punching Nazis. You had cartoon cigarettes punching Nazis. That was it was part of that time. It's not making a genius political statement. It's basically reflecting the world around it. And I'm not going to say, again, your definition of what politics is, how it plays into things, it's up to you. And I think the real question you should ask yourself is, why do you care? Or what are you trying to prove when, you look heavily into politics? What is it that you're getting out of the world when you behave that way? Because that if left unchecked, it leads to weird analysis. Like, saying, for example, dressing Donald Trump up like MODOK in a Spider-Gwen annual, having Donald Trump MODOK, is the same intelligent commentary as, as Born Again and the Daredevil series by Frank Miller. And if you start to put the books, like, if you start to say like everything is political, I'm not sure what point you're making, other than you're watering down really good commentaries, really good thought-provoking things to the same level as stuff that's just like a cheap visual gag. And I love Jack Kirby, and several of you are going to cringe at what I'm about to say, but during World War II time, Captain America punching Hitler is a cheap visual gag. For disclaimer, it doesn't need to be said, but Hitler was clearly a monster, deserved to die. Captain America punching, no issues. Definitely on brand for Captain America, a soldier in World War II, to punch Hitler. Okay, not defending Hitler here, but all the same, that wasn't making something that's designed to make you think, something that's designed to make you put yourself into it. It was a poster. It was a basic image, and I guess the only real thought that they needed you to pull out of that was, Nazis bad, Captain America, fighting for our troops, let's go. Which is very different than 18 comics, hundreds of pages of a deep examination of the human condition and soul. Another way to look at this might be Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers had a book and a movie. They are not the same. The book is definitely political. It definitely and touches heavily on social issues, and where the line blurs between politics and social issues, who knows? And by the way, when I say politics here, I'm not talking Democrats, MAGA, and Republicans and Democrats, or MAGA and I don't know. The Democrats need a thing. The AOC club. I whatever. What was it? Was their club? I don't remember. Fuck it. Anyway, Starship Troopers is a book, very political. It dives into the horrors of war, what it does to people, the dehumanization aspects of it. It is a great book. It's by a great author who wrote really, really intelligent, wonderful commentaries on things. But, it's great. The movie, for me, is also great. I enjoy that movie. It's got, some fun stuff. It's satire in a lot of cases. It's got some great boobs in that movie. Just 4 stars, highly recommended, 5-star, whatever. But I think you'd be insane to say that the thought-provoking commentary on war in the book is the same level, same complexity as what's in the movie. They're not. Doesn't make the movie bad, because as it turns out, and this may be the biggest kind of issue I have with this Terrifiers thing and kind of all the commentary is, things don't have to be thought-provoking to be great. I enjoy lots of comics and movies and books that are not, essays on the human condition. They're not deep level thought, and that's okay. Entertainment is okay, because believe it or not, the vast majority of books, of movies, of comics are not designed to, just sit as thoughtful, approaches to life. They are designed to sell copies. They are designed to make money. They're very much designed to be part of that capitalist system. There are exceptions. James Joyce, I think, is a great exception to that. That's a case where, things that were written were not written for commercial success, kind of got it anyway. But by and large, the overwhelming majority of all art is designed for commerce. And that's the stuff that is the kryptonite of your college class because people really, really don't want to admit or accept that. They really need that piece of art to have deeper meaning because I suspect there's an insecurity in themselves that if they're consuming things that are just meant to be consumed, well, they must be cattle. They must not be thoughtful people themselves. And I guess my only advice for the people listening here, and whatever brain dead moron on Reddit is going to get offended by this whole thing, there's nothing wrong with being entertained. It doesn't make you smarter or dumber. What makes you smarter or dumber is if you try and assign meaning to that entertainment and you bend over backwards, frankly, in disrespect of the original creators of it, trying to assign things that never were there. I was watching in the same argument over the film director, people talking about how, Nightmare on Elm Street was very political. And the example they used was, well, in it, they talk about 5, 6, grab your crucifix. And, the crucifix is a religious item. So religious item, therefore, equals politics. Thus, it's political. And plus, the entire second Nightmare on Elm Street was an allegory for people who are in the closet and don't feel comfortable. So technically, it's a gay rights movie. And it's like, it's been a long time since I've watched those movies. But I'm pretty sure that movie was about, scary, iconic visual monster chasing people around and doing scary things with his claw hand. Like, I'm pretty sure that was the point of the movie. And I'm pretty sure we got a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and Freddy versus Jason and all the rest because they made money. And when they stopped making as much money, they stopped making the movies. That's it. Literally, that's the point of the movie, to make money. And if the director slips in religious symbols are often, carries more weight because, people, it's like if you say crucifix versus, I don't know, something else that rhymes with six, flicks, Bix. Somebody's got a cigarette lighter. Grab your Bix. I don't know. That doesn't automatically mean it's thought provoking. It means it's, the director or writer are smartly using elements that, we can attach to as people. But I think the big question here, and I'll leave you with this, is why do you feel the need to assign meanings to things that really you can just enjoy? Why are you afraid of enjoying something? Why does that bother you? Why can't you just like it? When people say, I'd like less politics in comics, they're not saying, hey, I want stupid content, or I want smart content, or I want right-wing content. They're saying, hey, I actually just want to, enjoy this comic without a sermon in the middle of it. I actually don't want, I want to just see Captain America on some kind of tense adventure with some deep intrigue and everything else. Even if you're reading that, the Winter Soldier arc, of Captain America, and you might say, well, that's heavily political because Captain America is dealing with politics. Yes, but the purpose of that the story was to create a mystery and create tension so you would buy it. That was what it was for. It was not a subversive examination of conservative values in Washington and how they actually destroy, the same-sex couples or whatever. It's not that. I'm not saying it didn't use politics. I'm saying it's not by its nature meant to be political. It's meant to entertain. There's a major difference there. If you don't understand the difference, then I think that says more about you than the art. And in fairness, that's what art's supposed to do, right? Self-examination? Yeah, maybe. Were the politics of Scary Movie 4 again? Thanks for listening.